Hi, this is Neil, and I'm partnering with the great HPC Today to bring you the Surfactant Insights Podcast. I'm sometimes asked, does true bio-based ethylene oxide exist? Well, of course it does. Yes, but is it made commercially in multi-thousand tons quantities? Why, yes, and it has been for over 15 years. Fine, but is it competitive with petrochemical ethylene oxide? It's not price competitive kilogram for kilogram, and as the bio and petro molecules are identical, there are no performance differences. However, there are motivators for its use, and like many things in our industry, there is some nuance, so let's dig in. As analysed in superb detail in their 2026 report on renewable surfactants, Green D Market Analytics notes that to get to bio-based EO, you have to start from bio-based ethylene. Using fermentation to get this highly flammable and reactive EO gas is simply not possible. Now, traditional petrochemical routes to get to ethylene start from either crude oil-derived naphtha or natural gas-derived ethane. You may have heard that today, as of the recording of this podcast, there is some disruption to the global trade of oil and gas products. Has this caused a rush toward the manufacturing and use of bio-based EO? Not yet, but let's take a look at who is doing what currently. India Glycols is the granddaddy of bio-EO, in production for over 15 years at their Kashipur site in India. The starting point is molasses, which is fermented and distilled to get ethanol. This then is dehydrated to obtain ethylene, which is oxidized and purified to get EO. The company also ethoxylates at the same site and is allied with Clariant in a joint venture marketing these ethoxylates. Production volumes of bio-EO and derivatives at Kashipur have been reported at around 100,000 tons per year. As the name suggests, the company has some flexibility to make glycols and/or purified EO for ethoxylates. Then there's Croda, who got into bio-EO at its Atlas Point, Delaware site in 2018. They start from corn-based ethanol, which is dehydrated, the resulting ethylene then oxidized to make EO, very similar to the India-glycol process. This EO is used exclusively within Croda for the production of ethoxylated non-ionic surfactants. The capacity of the EO plant is given in filings as around 30,000 tons per annum. So, as far as purified EO for surfactants on a true commercial scale, that's it so far. There are other companies making bio-based glycols for polyester, however, including most notably Oxiteno and Braskem in Brazil. But what about cost competitiveness? Well, today in the US, purified EO is selling at about $1,200 per ton, down 10% from a year ago. In Europe, prices are well over $2,200 per ton, up 20% on the year. These differences, of course, reflect the fact that the US value chain starts with domestically extracted natural gas, whereas Europe uses mainly imported naphtha or LPG, made even more pricey today with the Iran conflict. Public filings by India Glycols suggest that their favorable, albeit volatile, economics on molasses enable the company to play in the ballpark set by petrochemical EO and EO derivatives. In the US, the picture's quite a bit different. In the US today, corn-based ethanol is priced around $635 per ton. That's 29 cents a pound. And compares to US ethylene price of around 32.5 cents per pound. In the bio-EO value chain, ethanol is a step behind ethylene. And even with perfect stoichiometry, you need 1.64 kilograms of ethanol to make a kilogram of ethylene. And in real life, there's going to be other losses and inefficiencies, resulting, I calculate, in something like a 50 to 75% cost premium in the US for bio-EO, and perhaps more at the scale of current production. However, as the price of EO in Europe is today 80% above the US price, maybe there's more of a future for bio-EO in Europe, depending of course on the long-term effects of the current Middle East oil and gas crisis. There is one other option worth mentioning. LanzaTech uses anaerobic fermentation to convert synthesis gas from industrial emissions to ethanol, which can then be converted to bio-based AO and derivatives. The company has collaborated with India Glycols, Dow, Unilever, and the Mibel Group in production and use of bio-ethoxylates. Volumes are not known, but the LanzaTech ethanol production plants are considered fully commercial. Food for thought, right? Well, I hope you have found this useful. And again, thanks as always for listening.